Hi, this is Maury Moreland Morrison, here to tell you Geico has more than just great savings. Much more. Geico's been around for more than 75 years, back when they were using Morse code. Sorry, that's just my sense of humor. What's more, with Geico you get 24/7 access to licensed agents on the app, online, or over the phone, so you can talk to them at night or in the morning. So forevermore, just know that no other auto insurer has more than Geico. More power to you. Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
You're tuning in to the Goldilocks presentation of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with Anthony Rodriguez. Anthony Rodriguez, aka Walking Crow, found transformational energy healing through a personal search into healing, was transformed by this experience. He made the decision to pursue training and has since become a certified energy healing practitioner with an emphasis on working with clients in recovery from addiction. His willingness to be open and listen has allowed him to be of service to many who seek a peaceful, serene, and healthier body, mind, and spirit. Call in now if you would like to speak with Anthony. The call-in number is 713-955-0332. Enjoy this transformational and healing show.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show, another edition of Tuesday edition of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and I am your host. And I'd like to welcome everybody back, and for those who are new listeners, I'd like to welcome you to the show. Thank you for coming. And I think we're going to have some new listeners today because we have a very special guest, as all our guests, all the guests that I have on the show are very special. And they have a common thread, a common bond, and they're well connected to me, actually. And these are people, the folks that I have coming aboard as guests in the last few weeks and the up and coming weeks and months are people who I support in their medicine, as healers, as medicine people, and people who support me. And I am honored whenever I have somebody on. I am so honored that they would even say yes. So there's that. So right now, what I want to do is I want to take a little time and ask Creator Great Spirit, I hope, and Spirit to clear the room where I'm at and clear me of any energies, unnecessary dark energies that aren't necessary for me to be carrying, any energies in this room, any energies in this microphone that vibrate outward into the world. I hope that I only vibrate good and goodness into the world and vibrate compassion and love and understanding and good medicine for those who are listening. I hope. And that my guest, Jess be cleared as well. And my beautiful producer, Tiffany, Reverend Tiffany White, Sage Woman, be cleared of any negative and unwanted energies that are here and about, that we would only vibrate good and goodness. So I'm really excited about today's show. And wow, I want, our guest today is going to be Jess Starwood. She's also known as Sun Raven. And Jess Starwood is a clinical herbalist and a forager of native medicinal and edible plants. She is the owner of Sun Raven Apothecary, I said that right, in Moore Park, California, where she can be found formulating herbal elixirs, teas, tonics, or giving individualized holistic health consultations, leading group hikes and adventures, or most likely wandering and exploring the local trails and mountains. With her lifelong passion for nature and plants, she has studied natural health and herbal medicine for over 10 years and is finishing her Master's of Science degree in herbal medicine. Jess offers a wide variety of programs and workshops connecting the community with natural healing and inspiring an invaluable connection with nature. And, you talk about the invaluable connection with nature. I've been hiking with Jess quite a few times. And, I thought that I was the only one that hiked and touched plants and things. And I don't know what she knows, but I watch her when she's hiking and walking on the trail. And she touches things and she looks at things and she notices things and she's listening and she's smelling. And, a lot of us in this world don't pay attention and we're not connected to Mother Earth. And I know that this beautiful woman is connected to Mother Earth, Sun Raven. And with a name like Sun Raven, how couldn't she be? Oh. So let's bring Jess in and say hello to Jess. And welcome to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine. And thank you for coming on, Jess.
Hi, it's such a pleasure to be on your show and talk about nature and all this amazing stuff.
Yeah, nature. You know, I don't know. You're not old enough, but there was a commercial one time. It was about butter, and there was a woman that would say, "It's not nice to fool Mother Nature." You know, and funny saying Mother Nature. You think of Mother Nature as Mother Earth and plants and trees and everything that Gaia, Pachamama has to offer. And you know, when I come across or I meet somebody like you, I am just impressed by the knowledge, because I know a little bit, but boy, standing next to you, it's like standing next to a sequoia. You know, you're just like a tower of knowledge when it comes to that kind of medicine and that kind of herbal medicine and what it is you can actually do when you're foraging.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, you know, we've lost this connection. We all have it inside of us. We all came from the earth. We are, part of it, but the way culture, or actually kind of lack of culture in today's world, our society is so removed from it, and it's pushing us farther and farther away, with our technology and, just our way of life of looking at a screen, spending our days looking at screens and inside and away from the outdoors, that we've just lost that. And, I have found so much healing and so much value that has, enriched my life just by rekindling that connection.
Now, I know you've been doing this for 10 years, but what drew you to it? Because I imagine you didn't start 10 years ago. I imagine you probably started as a girl, and you're from Arizona, right? So I'm guessing hiking through the canyons and amongst the cactus and stuff like that. How did you get started, and what piqued your interest at first?
Well, I growing up, I remember most of my memories are of my interactions with nature and with plants. And some of my fondest memories are just wanting to be connected with that. Like, I would fantasize about running away to the woods, although I lived in the desert. It's, Yeah, I had dreams, and goals, but yeah, it was like, I remember going, we lived in an area that there was a lot of open land, and I remember going across the street to this open field, and I had a notebook with me, and I would find all the weeds and the plants that were growing there, and I drew them, and I didn't know what they were. Nobody was teaching me. Nobody was telling me what all these plants were, but I came up with, these magical uses for these plants, or what they were. It was completely made up, but I felt that connection with them, and enough to write it down and just really get into that. And I would, whenever I had the opportunity, I was outside and playing and building forts and just interacting. And, I feel like that's, kids these days just don't have that opportunity anymore. And that is so important. And then, as I got older, I started noticing, my family members had a lot of health challenges that really deeply affected me. And it was like, I saw them go to the doctor, but the doctors weren't helping. They weren't doing anything. There was nothing the doctors could do. And it just really, really affected me to where I was like, how can I help? at one time I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a scientist because I was like, there has to be something to do. This isn't right. This is wrong. I want to help. I want to provide that healing to them. But that kind of inspired my journey into the health and science part of things. I got kind of sidetracked for a little while doing a lot of graphic design and other things with my life, but it's just been for the last 10 years kind of creeping back into that connection and reconnecting again with nature and all that it really provides for us.
I don't quite remember how I found you, but I found you on social media, on Facebook, as a matter of fact. And I would read your post, and they just pulled me in because the photos that you take are they're just amazing, and it really gives the way you look at things and the way you feel about your medicines, just a whole different look. And I mean, it's almost like stepping into a three-dimensional form. When I look at some of your pics, it's like, man, how does she do that? And I guess we all have to a degree do that, because I know I do that. I'm surprised at some of the stuff with the phone camera, what I achieve. But you can see and feel the love of what it is you do in your photos. When I look at your graphics design for your work, it shows it. You see the richness in every little detail and the coloring of what it is that I'm looking at. And some people post stuff and put stuff together just to put it together. You're not that case. You really show the care of what it is that you're working with.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of my philosophies. My personal philosophy is that, like, if you're going to do something, do it with your whole heart. Do it with every bit of, your passion. You live it, you breathe it, that's, if something's worth doing, just why not just go full force into it. And that's what I do. I just live this, I breathe it. It's everything to me,
Boy, do I understand that. My life is, I don't know if I want to say my life is consumed with what it is that I do as a healer, as a medicine man, as whatever label or title you want to give me, walking crow, whatever that is. But boy, I love what I do. I just, if I'm out gathering sages for others, if I'm stringing together a drum or stretching skin or offering prayer or tobacco, or if I have my hands on somebody, I absolutely love that. It just permeates my every soul. And what's interesting for me is people who don't understand what it is or don't, you and I support what you do because, first of all, I can't do that, and it's amazing. I'm glad somebody can. The only other person that I know that does that is Elena Esparza from East LA, but she doesn't do it to the degree that you do it, because I know you make like salves and infused honey, and you make wine, and you make beer, and put together meals for people that are just amazing, and you can see the love. And I have a passion. I do these live Facebook videos, and I have my channel, and I have this radio station, this show that I do, and I pour my heart into it because I feel like it's who I am. It's what I am. Is that the case for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been it's a lifelong journey, and looking back, it's like, it looks clear now, like all the different steps I've taken to get here. And, people these days, they want to rush into something and then be like experts at it, and, just, out of the gate be, whatever they want. But, it takes time to really develop the knowledge and the passion and just all of that. It's, it's a journey.
Yeah. I mean, when I started as an energy healer, I had no idea, no idea that I was going to be leading spirit circles and doing sweat lodge and all the stuff that I do. And it's like, I can't wait to get to places. I'm going to Sedona this week. And I can't wait I'm like buzzing. My whole body is buzzing because I can't wait to get there. I couldn't wait to get on the air today and be able to have this conversation with you, because whenever I'm doing this, I'm just in my happy place. I'm just pleased as punch. And speaking of pleased as punch, for those that are listening, 713-955-0332 is a call-in number. Please call in and ask questions of Jess or myself, or if you have if you want to learn more about particular things in your life, things that you see in your yard or the landscape around you, Jess Starwood, Sunraven, is the person to ask, I believe. So, please call in. So, you do some events, but I know you're looking to do more. You're looking to just move in a different direction, or in a direction with what you do. Are you looking to do more of food? Are you looking to do more medicinal stuff? What's the direction that you're really wanting to take?
Well, that's a good question. I finished my degree last month, and I'm kind of exploring a lot of different options right now. I have several opportunities coming up with working with kids, and that is a really big passion for me. I really enjoy sharing nature with kids, starting them early so that they have the opportunity to really develop a relationship with nature early on, and that turns into a lifelong respect for plants and the environment, and hopefully they're making good decisions later on in life that is supportive of our environment. But anyways, yeah, I also do consultations. I have a clinical background in the uses of medicinal herbs, so I can help address any sort of health challenges, or whether it's like, hey, I've got a cold, what's going to help me with my cough, or up to something like full-on lifestyle changes that are going to help fight off major diseases and stuff like that. So I've got that going, and also a lot of the food stuff too. I've been really exploring with a lot of native and invasive plants that are abundant in our area, and we're spraying all these invasive weeds with pesticides and herbicides and whatever. We just want to get rid of all these plants, but that's food. So it's like kind of a challenge to me, of like, well, okay, instead of using these chemicals and trying to get rid of all these plants, why aren't we using them? Why aren't we thinking creatively in how to incorporate them into like our diet? And these plants are so important because they're what we should be eating. They have so many more nutrients. They're so nutrient dense that they outshine any sort of vegetables and fruits that you're going to be buying in the supermarket. There's kind of a reason why these plants are growing around us. They want us to eat them. That's what we should be eating, not food shipped in from the other side of the world.
Yes.
So yeah, to answer your question, I mean, I don't have a specific direction. I'm kind of going where nature leads me, really.
I'm listening to what you say. I work part-time in a so-called farmer's market type locale, and they have a vitamin department, and I work in the vitamin department. And people come in to see me. I'd say they come in to see me because they actually have an experience when they talk to me. And they tell me they want to do this cleanse, that cleanse, a 3-day cleanse of this. And I'm like, why don't you just go over to the produce department, buy yourself leafy greens? And I start going down the litany of things that they should be doing instead of putting another vitamin in their body to toxify their liver, which they want to detoxify. And
right.
what I want, ask you is, give me an example of because, to you, weeds and plants are food. And boy, if I could follow you around to see exactly what that looks like, because you know what you're looking at. When I'm with you on a trail, you know exactly what you're looking at, and I will ask you, what is X? Give me an example of something that grows like out of the cracks of a sidewalk that you can refer to and tell us about, that's medicinal or food.
Well, probably one of the most classic examples is, your dandelion. Like you were saying, people go into the health food store looking for, I need a liver cleanse and I need this and that and whatever, and they're looking, for a quick and easy fix, like a pill or a powder to put in their smoothie, and specific directions, like, okay, this day I do this and this and this, and then my cleanse over. Okay, great, but you've thrown all these herbs and whatever into your body, but you go back to eating hamburgers and fast food and your soda pop and all this other stuff, and it's like, well, okay, you didn't really do anything, you just wasted $50 or whatever. And
yep.
But you've got your dandelions that are growing up all over the place, and these are, they're not necessarily meant for just medicine. They're also food. You can eat the whole entire plant. The whole plant has different qualities, whether it's the flower, the leaves, the root. They all have slightly different properties. However, our body will absorb what it needs, and it's our body's designed to detoxify. That's what our liver does. Either you're going to be burdening it with all this chemicals and processed food and all this stuff, or you're going to be supporting it, and it gets really bogged down and it's just not functioning correctly, and then that's going to lead to disease and health problems and all this other stuff. But if you're eating this kind of stuff with a balanced diet, that then your body, is going to be functioning as it's supposed to, as nature designed it to. The dandelion, it's going to support your liver. It's not going to fix your problems. It's going to support your liver in doing what your liver was designed to do,
Yeah.
So I have a pretty big problem with these like 3-day cleanses and, or, whatever. I mean, fasting's great, but, that's different. But when you're taking all these herbs to fix a problem, you're not seeing the big picture. It's taking what we're used to when we see conventional medicine. You go into the doctor, you're like, okay, I've got this problem, what can I take? And they give you a pill. So,
yep.
That's not working. So people are used to that. They go to the vitamin department and they're like, hey, I need to fix my liver. I must be, I have this bad diet, I've got all these health problems, so I need to fix my liver. So they're looking for a pill. They're looking for a fast fix. And because of they're used to that model, but nature just doesn't work that way. Nature doesn't work, by just taking a pill, So if we take it and look at it in a different way, in a holistic way, and understand the body and what it's trying to do, and using herbs in a way to support the body's going to take care of itself. We've forgotten that the body knows how to heal. We don't need to consciously go in and do that. The body knows, nature knows. So Go ahead.
I was going to say, and it shows up in your body, I was going to use Candida as an example. That's not there because it's supposed to be there. Candida is there because your body is rejecting what it is you're putting into it. And I had a young lady come into the store 2 weeks ago, and sure enough, she has eczema. Her daughter has eczema. She's got some physical stuff going on, and she was holding a jar of colon cleanse and a jar of liver cleanse. And she says, how do these work together? I said, I have no idea, and I wouldn't tell you that you should use them. I said, you need to look at something different. What's going on with you? I started to ask questions. And she said, well, I have Candida, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, and then she expressed, I want to do a 3-day cleanse to help with the Candida. I said, that's not going to help with your Candida. Candida is a long-term problem, and you're looking at a year to 2 years and beyond that. And if you kid yourself that you're going to do a 3-day cleanse and your Candida is going to be gone, I'm sorry, that's not the case. And we had go ahead.
Well, Candida is in everybody. You know, it's not going to be something you can get rid of. There's always going to be some in everybody, you know. And the idea of getting rid of Candida is not, you know, to eliminate it, but to put the body back into balance. And, you know, so when symptoms of having too much, you know, of a Candida overgrowth show up, then it's time to look at, okay, what's out of balance, you know? So, and a lot of times it's related to, you know, too much sugar in the diet. You know, that's what really feeds Candida, and a lot of use of antibiotics. And so you got to really look at the big picture. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to, you know, say that we're not trying to get rid of it. It's just trying to get it back into balance. There you go.
And my apologies for my misuse of my thinking, because I know it doesn't go away.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay.
But one of the things that after our conversation, she said, you know, she said, I want to thank you. I said, she said, because I thought that this was going to be easy. And I gave her a number of somebody I'm associated with who actually had to deal with her own Candida issue, and she became a nutritionist behind helping herself walk through. And as the longer we talked, I looked at her daughter and I started to ask some more personal questions, because that's what I do. I go to a level of looking at the body energetically, and I started asking some questions, and the information appeared, and I thought, oh, okay. So I also let her know that this isn't just about what it is you put in your body, it's what you're not releasing from your body emotionally with regard to vibration, expression. You can't hold the hurt and wounds in your body and feed them incorrectly and without something manifesting that's a dis-ease, and it starts to show up. So, and that's my belief, and that's my work in how I work with things. But you know, meeting somebody, and I think you and I had this conversation. I said that I'm trying to get back to myself. I want to get back to center, and I would appreciate your direction. I asked for your direction because you know, and even as much as I know, I don't know what you know. I like tapping the resources around me that can offer me a different direction, or a direction that isn't going to be, and you said it, a pill. I don't need a quick fix pill. I mean, because I don't offer quick fix anything when it comes to your emotional state or your spiritual state. You know, if you're in for the long haul and you're willing to go through whatever it is you need to go through, welcome aboard. But there is no quick fix. And I'm the last person to say there is. And so are you, obviously. And that's why we're here, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And like you mentioned, you know, there's also the whole, you know, there's the physical components, but there's also the whole emotional, you know, aspect of it too. And, you know, it's all part of it. We are very complex creatures. So.
I did a Facebook Live last night with Diane Bohan, who is a food coach. And we talked about the emotional component of eating and what it is we really want for ourselves. And we talked about sabotage and self-love and self-care and self-nurturing. And I, for one, sabotaged myself for a lifetime, and I didn't have any clue that I was doing that until I stepped into the world of energy healing and had the experiences that I had. And gosh darn it, my life is transformed. And when the component of healing myself inside with food, or from food, if you will, I literally was juicing and eating raw foods for, I want to say, probably almost a year. And when people ask about that, I say, I just didn't eat raw foods, and it wasn't a diet, I tell them. I had to change my way of life. And I had to recalibrate my emotions. I had to recalibrate my emotions with my food and why I was eating. I eat because I need to eat. I don't eat because, somebody broke my heart, or I crashed my car, or I'm mad at my boss, or whatever the case may be. And
Right.
People eat a lot of dumb things. And even if they're eating healthy, a lot of people eat a lot of what they're eating, but just because, and with the excuse of, oh, well, I'm eating healthy. Well, overeating isn't healthy. So
Right.
there's also that component,
Right.
So, and eating eating plant-based meals, I think, is more of a balance for me, anyways, because I guess, I'm not a big eater to begin with. I don't need to be eating big meals. I'm just not wired that way anymore. I remember having Thanksgiving dinners and as a young person eating 2 or 3 plates of food, then, diving for the dessert bar or whatever. And now I don't even want to show up for days like that, because it's just about gluttony and abusing oneself. I believe that you're abusing yourself when you eat like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole everything in moderation, and
Yep.
but if you think of where these traditions came from, when there was time to feast, we would feast, and try to get through the winter, and but that model just doesn't fit for our life, the way we live today. Nowadays we have food available all year round, and it's the same food. We can get a banana in December, just like we can get it in the middle of the summer. And we can buy them in high in the northern hemisphere rather than down in the tropics where they're supposed to be coming from.
Yeah.
And our bodies are wired to crave fats and sugars. That's just the way we are designed, because that's what's going to fuel our bodies and such. But when we have so much available, it's hard to turn that off. That drive to be satiated with fats and sugars. And those are really hard to find in nature. You don't find really high, dense fat foods or really extremely sweet foods. We are now used to extremely sweet fruit through all of the, not necessarily just GMO, but we've cultivated our foods to become extra sweet, extra, big, and that's just not the way it was in nature, where we came from. It was, you go for a hike, when we go hiking, it's like, do you see giant apples hanging from the trees? No, and you just don't find that. It was the little tiny berries and the smaller things that, you would get your sweetness from. And so, it's kind of taking that into perspective. It's like, whoa, we're totally off base here on what we're eating. Yeah.
I think I was telling you a story the other day about when I was a little kid, and I used to, in our yard in Pacoima, we had a peach tree, and I talked about the peaches on the tree, and I said to you, the peaches were bigger than my head, but I was a little kid, and everything looks like it's bigger than your head when you're that age. And and they probably were, but they were being grown naturally. You know, my father was watering the plants, and we had a plum tree that was always abundant. And I would always sit in that tree and eat the fruit that was in the tree. And he had a milpa, he grew corn. We didn't just grow yellow corn. Mm-hmm. We grew maize in that milpa, and we ate from our garden, whether there were beans or whatever it was. And it's funny, over the years, I completely forgot that was my experience as a child, until I was sitting and having that conversation with you, and I was like, wow, we actually live this, As a kid, I would eat jicama, Jicama. Kids don't want jicama. They want a Twinkie. They want a snowball. They want something, not jicama.
Right.
But I remember eating that in the summertime when it was hot outside at 90 degrees, and my dad would take me home and cut it up, and I would just the crispiness of that jicama, Mm-hmm. And jicama isn't high in sugar. I'm sure it has some, but it's high in water content and more than anything, I think, But that was what was refreshing to me as a child.
Mhm. Yeah, and I talk a lot about eating wild foods and stuff, but it's like, even just growing stuff in your garden and being able to, care for a plant and then eat from that plant is so important too. It's, not everybody can go out and go foraging and, have a wild foods diet, but growing your own food is really important too. And, you're going to get a lot, you don't have any pesticides and herbicides and all that extra chemicals on it that, the commercial crops are sprayed with, but, or at least, you have more control over that. If you want to do that, fine. But, at least, it's growing in your yard. And, one of the other things that I believe is that when we are consuming plants that are growing near us in our environment, we are kind of, we're downloading that information from those plants about living in this environment, especially with wild foods. Those plants out there, they're not being watered. They're not being fertilized. They're not being, taken care of. They are surviving. They are adapting to the stresses of the environment, and so when we take them into our body by eating them, by touching them, by smelling them, by interacting and building a relationship with them, our body is absorbing those chemicals that have changed because of the environment, and has an effect on our bodies and our chemical makeup as well, and we miss out on that when we're buying, coconuts from, I don't know, wherever across the ocean. And, those have different information in them than, the dandelions that are growing in my yard, and it's in nature, there's a conversation between organisms and the fungus and the bacteria and the plants and the animals, and they're, while it doesn't sound like they're talking to each other, they're talking to each other through chemicals. And when we isolate ourselves from those things, we aren't getting that information. We've lost touch with how to live in this environment. So that's why it's like local foods, grow it yourself, your local farmer's market, and even wild foods is, I think, like top notch there.
I'd like to remind everybody, all our listeners, that you're listening to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with Anthony Rodriguez Walking Crow and special guest, Jess Starwood. You know what, Jess? I was listening to an elder from the islands, and he was giving a talk on indigenous peoples. And he was talking about how the indigenous people have, a modern man is disconnected. He's disconnected from the animals, he's disconnected from the earth, he's disconnected from the trees and the plants and all these things, exactly what you're talking about. there's almost like we drew the line and we're not willing to cross it. And my walk the last 5 or 6 years has really been about coming into nature and getting closer. I mean, all the instruments and the things that I make out of organic materials. But what's organic material? Wood, skin. I don't use any man-made fiber. I'll use a cotton. I'll use a hemp. And I just don't want to use those things anymore. And I was reminded when I lived in Tennessee, I went on into this plant where they made what's that stuff? Rayon. They made rayon there. And they searched you as you came into the plant to see if you had any matches, because rayon and polyester, those materials are explosive. And we're putting those on our body.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And whenever I wrap sage and I teach people to do that, I say, do not use a man-made fiber. You are breathing this. This is going on into your skin. This is going into the environment around you. And if you're clearing the energies with poison, you're not clearing anything. So,
right.
And so for myself, walking, I mentioned this to you before, I need to put my feet on the earth barefoot, not with shoes on, because my feet were not made for shoes. My feet were made to walk bare, I try to buy shoes that simulate the width of my foot or whatever, that don't make my foot so narrow. But, we're in the modern world, and modern man is not in touch as he once was. So listening to these elders, these Hawaiian elders who are talking about the indigenous ways and how they're being lost, it's people like you, it's people like me, it's people like my teachers and my elders who say, they teach us the way. And as a matter of fact, at my sweat lodge in San Fernando, right next to it, there is an apple tree. And the apples are probably about anywhere from 1 to 2 inches in diameter. And that's it. And they're tasty. Mm-hmm. They know they're not crispy at all. They're not really sweet. They're just almost like a flat tasting, and it's almost like biting into a pear, actually. But, it's not polished with wax and sprayed with poison. It's being grown organically, and it's a real joy to be able to walk into the yard there and just pull one off the tree, pick one off the grass, and enjoy it in that way, in its natural way. In the way of beauty, in the way of balance, I hope.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely something to be said for that. And like you said, walking on the earth barefoot, when you're walking without shoes on, you're feeling the earth. Your attention is now on your feet, whereas when you've got shoes on, you're just plodding along, and you don't have to feel the rocks, you don't have to feel the thorns and anything that comes your way. I mean, you can just walk right through anything with your shoes, but then once you have the opportunity to walk barefoot, you begin to feel the earth in a much different way. You get to feel the stones, the warmth, the coldness, all the different sensations through your feet. And then, your attention goes from up in your head and your thoughts and everything down to your feet. And for me, it's almost like a meditation. And, you're out of your head. Those thoughts going around in circles, those stop, because your attention is now on your feet, and your energy is connecting directly to the earth, and that is just yet another way of reconnecting with nature. That's how we used to walk, how we used to be in touch, physically in touch with the earth, and then, in addition to that, walking along the trail, touching the plants, feeling them, getting those essential oils on your hands, those chemicals that the plants are sending off, and yet another way of connecting. Yeah.
And I know that you have a habit of climbing into trees too when you're on the trail, and being with a grandmother tree in that way. I think it's special because you reminded me of my childhood, because I used to climb into the plum tree, and I would sit in that tree for hours and eat plums and just sit up there in the summertime when it was hot outside and I was in the shade of the tree, but I was also in the arms and being embraced by Mother Earth through that tree. And I never thought about it then. Why would I think of it as a child? But now as an adult, as a male adult who has done that work to bring that child and the adult male together again, that memory, and you brought that memory to light for me when you said, you pointed out a particular tree when we were hiking. You said, I climb up into that tree, and I thought, wow, how great to be able to step into your childlikeness, you're into your child, if you will, and actually do that, and just for the sake of doing that, for being with the tree,
Yeah.
People look at trees and they take them for granted, and that's one of the things that I learned how not to do anymore. They're the grandmothers as far as I'm concerned. And whenever I'm walking, whether I'm in the Arroyo or at the Rose Bowl or up on the mountain, wherever, I'm constantly honoring the trees, and I want to be mindful that they're there, that the rocks are there, that the dirt is there, that the birds of the air and the ground squirrels and the ground animals are there and are apparent in my life, not just part of the willy-nilly scenery that, it's kind of like going to Disneyland. Oh, it's a dragonfly. It's a dragonfly at Disneyland. But when you're in your own element, and we came across dragonflies the other day while we were hiking, you see that, and it's like, oh, I'm in their element. I'm in their world, which means also it's my world. Once I start to notice that again, I believe that it becomes I take my world back. Yes.
Yes, exactly. It's not. There's not that separation. It's their world. It's our world. It's both of ours. It's all of ours. It's we all come from the same place. And everybody wants to separate everything and put everything into categories and all this separation, but it's not that. We're all, we are all part of the same earth. It's where we all came from. There's nothing different, we all breathe the same air.
Talking about this subject with you, I was talking about being on La Perouse, on the lava flow that came off of Haleakala in Maui. And I was sitting on the black rock, and I was sitting where the rock goes into the ocean. And, a rock, hot fire, water, direction of the east, grandfather, son, fire, manifestation, the male energy. And that pouring into the ocean, the divine feminine energy, water, and coming to the realization when that happens, and I think it was you, I'm almost positive we had this conversation last Friday. I said that fire is solidified by the water. And I realized that how important that is, even in our world, in relationships. The divine masculine is solidified by the divine feminine as a whole, and it becomes whole. It becomes earth. It becomes ancestral. It becomes knowledge. It becomes a lot of different things. And when I was sitting on those black rocks when I was there, it never occurred to me until I sat and talked to you about it. And of course I would be talking to a divine feminine about solidification of rock and water. And it's like, wow, I'm bewildered. I'm in awe of the conversations that happen as a result of the medicines that you carry and that I carry. And I'm able to have that understanding, and it's a simple understanding, and we overlook it daily. And then we spend a lot of time covering it up with cement and black tar and whatever,
Right.
So it doesn't grow, so it doesn't fester, so it doesn't continue to feed us, Mm-hmm. And you bring the feeding of self, the nurturance of self, the feeding of that nurturance, the feeding of the balance to light. And I for one appreciate that, because even in my work, I forget and I overlook. What's the old saying? I'm looking over a 4-leaf clover that I overlooked before, and you allow me to have new eyes. And I for one want to thank you for that. So there's that.
You're welcome. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, we're as we are evolving and progressing in technology and stuff, our sights and our awareness is becoming so narrow. You know, we don't see. We just don't see anymore. We don't see all the different everything out there. You know, we're not seeing nature for what it is anymore. We're just seeing, oh well, what's the next thing? What's the next technology? What's the next update? What's the next, you know, how many likes am I getting on Facebook? How many, you know, right? And
Yep.
we're losing that greater picture, and in that greater picture, we're losing the small things, and, you know, feeding ourselves and finding the medicine that, you know, we need in our environment. And yeah, it's so funny how everything, our modernness is shrinking our perceptions, where it's like, you know, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, let's kind of take a step back, stop covering up everything with concrete and cement. And although I have to say sorry, Dad, my dad does concrete, but but you know, he's a great teacher of mine, and I've learned so much from him. And so sorry, Dad, but you know, more anyways, you want to dig myself into a hole there. Anyways, so you know, we're trying to push nature away, get it away. We're trying to clean ourselves from bacteria. But wait a minute, we need that bacteria. You know, that's what helps our immune system. You know, we're trying to separate from nature, but yet, wait a minute, that's the stuff that heals us too. You know, we're slathering ourselves in, you know, antibacterial soaps and hand sanitizers and all these chemicals and stuff that kill off our, you know, our natural flora of bacteria. And it's those things that are going to support our immune system, you know? And, you know, we cannot keep going this way because we are a part of nature. And if we lose that connection, you know, we just, our health is going to severely suffer, you know, not just personally, but our environment. And it's just not a good picture, you know? Yeah.
I remember as a little kid, we were always up and down the street in bare feet, you know? We were always in bare feet. And then, you know, the local, my buddies on our street, we would like get on our bikes or we would hike over across the tracks. We lived in Pacoima, and we'd cross the tracks, and then we'd go down into the washes, underground waterways of Pacoima in LA. And we would walk in the dark in the water down there, and we could hear frogs, and we could feel the moss under our feet, the slipping and the sliding. And we lived literally a quarter mile, if a half a mile from Hanson Dam, and we were always up there. And we were always at the Jessup Park, and where there was a mountain that we would climb, and there was trees and pine trees. And, you know, there's a place called Grand Park, downtown LA. I don't even know if there's one tree in that Grand Park. And I'm like, what's so grand about standing in the sun, baking to death? There's nothing natural about that place. It's surrounded by cement. And I'm like, what a shame, you know? And I have become so accustomed again to being in trees and being in nature. And I'm going to say this: you live on a farm out in Moore Park, and I love going there. You know, the couple of times that I've been there, I love it because I move away distance myself from the city, and I'm on those country roads. Something starts to happen to me inside, and it changes. It changes my makeup, my build-up, who I am, and how I'm feeling, and you start to breathe the air. You start to smell the dirt, the soil, you know, driving through the fields, and you know, you turn off the road, and it's windy. It's a windy road, and you don't know what's around the other curb. And I'm not just talking about your place, but any place in an environment like that. There's always an adventure
Yeah.
that's unseen and unknown, and that I have become ready for. I have become ready for, which means I've come back in touch and in tune with myself and who I am and how I was created, and what I was always meant to be,
Yeah.
And and you teaching children what you want to teach. And it's ironic that in the last 3 days, I've had 2 people contact me to come drum shamanically or in an indigenous way for groups of children. And I'm like, okay, that's what you want me for. I'll show up, because we have forgotten what the sound of our heartbeat feels like. The sound of Mother Gaia, Pachamama, Mother Earth. We have forgotten, it emulates the sound of our mothers. Your mother. It emulates that sound. And the children have forgotten because the children are too busy being distracted in their third eye by computers and phones and technology and things that don't matter, that really don't matter. And the heartbeat matters. The heartbeat matters. Whenever you lay your head on the breast of a mother, whether you're a 2-month-old baby or whether you're an 8-year-old child or whether you're an adult and you put your head on your mother's bosom and you hear that sound, there's something very comforting about it, and it brings us back. It brings us back to ground zero, I want to say,
Yeah, for sure.
Jess, I want to ask you, tell us how we can tell myself and the listeners how they can contact you and how they can see more about what it is that you do.
Well, I do a lot of social media. You can find me on Facebook, and you can either follow my page, which is Sunraven Apothecary, or you can search Sunraven Herbs on Facebook. And you can also find me on Instagram. My name there is Sunraven Herbs. And let's see, you can friend me on Facebook. My name is Jess Starwood. I have a website, sunravenherbs.com, where I post articles, recipes, all my writing, photography, and all that. And so contact me through any of those. I do consultations, I do classes, custom programs, anything plant, medicine, nature related, nature connection, kids, homeschool groups, private hikes, all that stuff. So you're a busy lady, and I want to thank you. I am so honored to have been able to have you on the show and be able to and to be associated with you and to be able to learn so much from you, because I talk often about being males being emotionally crippled, and I'm glad that I've overcome that, because I get to listen. I get to listen and learn from forces that have the information. Mother Earth is a source, and you're a replication of Mother Earth. You teach us and you teach me, and I want to thank you. And for those of you who are on today, thank you for tuning into the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine. You've been listening to Jess Starwood, Sunraven Apothecary, and I can't believe I actually said that correctly. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and I would like to thank you for coming and being with us for this last hour. And Jess, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I'm honored to have you here. And I want to also thank my producer, the lovely Reverend Tiffany White, Sage Woman, for giving us a place to do what it is we do, to allow our medicine to be felt and our voices to be heard. And until next Tuesday, I would like to say aho and thank you, and have a beautiful week. You folks have a great day. Bye now.
Napa know-how. A Napa guy knows more isn't always better, unless we're talking about full-size vans. These beasts do more than get you from A to B. They have so much space a man can live in it. With shag carpeting, waterbed, and a sweet lava lamp, these mobile abodes have all the comforts of home. With quality parts and plenty of Napa know-how, you can keep the original tiny house running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how.